Hi, this is Susan. Welcome to Keepsake Books to Celebrate and Commemorate. Today's book is a book of a poem or a song. I think we all have either a favorite poem or song or we hear one that just really means a lot to us. And so taking it and then putting it into a book form is a wonderful way to keep it with us in a more real way. So this is a poem by Mary Oliver. And what I have done, the binding is kind of a mishmash. It is the way the pages are put together is the way they would be in a kind of tradition, in a Western style book that we would know, but the way the stitching is done is much more like the way the Asian tradition of sewing books together. Normally in a bookmaking context, you would be poking holes and using a needle and thread. What we're doing here is punching holes and then just using our fingers to sew the book. For this book, we need 2 pieces of paper, or more, but I'm going to demonstrate it with 2. I'm using paper from the recycling bin with writing on one side. We need a hole punch. We need some thread or yarn, string, ribbon, some scissors to cut it with, and a paper clip. So we're going to start by folding the paper. We're going to take it. If you use, it has writing on one side, that gets folded inside when you make that first fold, which is long and skinny like a hot dog. And then you're going to fold that in half. And we'll do the same thing on the other end. Long and skinny like a hot dog, fold it in half. And then I'm going to set them up so that they both, the fold is on the top, and I'm going to tuck one inside the other. And now I'm going to punch some holes. So I want to have one in the center, and I'm going to do everything by eye. So I'm going to go into the center in just a little ways. I think this is about the width of a pinky for me. I'm going to punch in the center, and then towards one end, and then towards the other end. And now I have my holes. Now I'm going to get my string ready. I am going to make it, this is generous, so it'll probably be more than you need, but I'm going to do it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times the height of the book. And we're going to start it's kind of like sewing of a sort, but kind of back into maybe kindergarten, preschool, where you're sewing laces instead of using a needle and thread. So I'm going to tuck my book so that it's nice and even. I want to go into the center hole to start with. I'm going to fold the edge. I find sometimes if you use yarn, or in this case it's like a twisted string, it might unravel. So it'll be a little easier if I poke a loop through. And I'm going to pull through so I have about this much. Now, I don't want to be sewing with this and pulling that through. So I'm going to take my my paper clip, and I'm just going to hold this one in place. And now this one is free to work with. I'm going to go into the bottom hole. And now this is where it gets different from what we usually think of as sewing, because normally you go from one hole to the next and you just go into a hole one time. In this case, we're going to go into this hole twice. We're going to wrap it around the side. And pull it through. And then we're going to wrap it around the bottom and pull it through. And as you're doing this, you want to hold your string straight. So it's wrapped. Whoops, that didn't go quite around the bottom, but I can just shift it over. So now if you look here, I have a wrapping here, and now I want to get back to the middle. Now, at this point, everything is pretty well anchored, so I'm going to take my paper clip off. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side that I did on that side. So into the other hole, wrap around the side, wrap around the bottom, and back into the middle. And this, I find that the string works pretty well because it's not so thick that you have room to maneuver inside the hole. Ribbon is very nice. The only thing I'll say about ribbon is that you, if you want it to stay flat, you might have to do some adjusting to it. And now that I've got these two, I put one on either side, and I'm going to tie a double knot along the side edge of the spine of the book. You can, if you want, you could thread a bead or two on here and tie them so you have a little bit more decoration on here. But this is the book. For this book, for the pages, I used pages from a garden catalog. And what I did was I took out the staples so that I could open up the full sheet at a time. It wasn't individual pages, but a full sheet, which gave me a little bit more room to work with. And I like the way the background works. And then I went online, I found this wonderful poem by Mary Oliver. I brought it into my computer. I actually played around a little bit with the type so I could get it more a size and a shape, a style that I wanted. And then I made the book. I mounted the text onto colored paper. And I just want to share with you a little bit of the poem. It's a very short poem, but it doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. And then this is my favorite line. This isn't a contest, but the doorway. And I feel like that's so appropriate for these books. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. So this is a poem, and then I did another one kind of more loosely just to show that if you're doing, so this I used a grocery bag. For this, I did not fold the pages. This is just individual sheets. This has always been a favorite song of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And I just wrote it with marker and put some decorations on it. So I hope you'll enjoy taking a favorite song or poem of yours and making it into a book. And thanks for watching.